Hello, folks. Welcome back to another show, episode, installment, whatever you want to call it, of the Distributed Experience. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Steve Bjorklund. Steve is the Senior Vice President of National Accounts for USG. Steve, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Chris. Happy to be here and happy to join you.
I'm sure that you're happy to be almost at springtime in the greater Chicagoland area. So.
Indeed, there is white stuff that fell over the weekend, so it's good to see that it only lasted for about a day, and we're hopefully moving forward now.
Hopefully that hopefully we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel here. So, okay, we're gonna have a great conversation today about customer experience. Again, thanks for joining us and being willing to share your perspective. We're gonna dive right into it. We're gonna start with question number one. What does customer experience mean to you? We know that that's a loaded phrase, and we talked about that a little bit off camera. It's a loaded phrase, but what does it mean to you particularly?
So I think at USG, we've really spent a lot of time on this over the last many years, listening to our customer through voice of the customer, through other metrics like Net Promoter Score. And we've defined it in terms of how we're moving forward as trying to be the easiest to do business with. And that can be related to the experience somebody has from the start investigating our products in terms of what they might use. It might mean to them the experience with their sales rep who deals with them in the field. It might mean to them the transactional process of ordering and getting your product all the way through supply chain. And it might mean a piece of it being the end of it, meaning how are my bill or how is my invoice, is it accurate? Am I being, barraged by the collection team and those things? So really, it's the whole process that we're looking at in terms of how do we measure ourselves of being the easiest to do business with.
In your world, you have a lot of constituents, right? The word customer is probably the harder term to define for you than customer experience. So figuring out a way to stitch that together is not easy, but you use some of the key triggers when you talk about the measurement piece, right? Measuring that down through is a great way to really make sure that you have a clear perspective all the way through the chain. So that's something.
When you think about a customer, right? I mean, who is a customer? We're a manufacturer, producer of products. We ship products to some component of distribution. That distributor is in a sense, a customer. They're the invoice paying customer. But they have a customer, right? And that customer is typically the end user. They're also our customer because they're the ones who have to install our products. So we impact them via the distributor. But then we also have customers that are more like influencers. So you've got your architects in your design community. And so those are all the customers outside of USG. Within USG, we've also got a bunch of customers. We won't talk about that specifically today, but you've got internal customers as well.
That makes great sense. Thank you for that perspective. I'm going to modify the second question a little bit based on what you just shared there.
Right.
So what we have is when you think about the industry, whose job is it to focus on customer experience? And the disclaimer I've given past guests is you can't say everyone. But I'm going to ask the question a little bit different to you today, Steve. And the question I'm going to ask is, in your mind, if there's one person in that chain that you just talked about that is most important in influencing the customer experience, who do you think that is? What's one person you would like to reach the most in terms of being able to improve or deliver great customer experience?
And maybe I'm going to ask you a clarifying question. You mean who's the person at USG that's most important to defining the customer experience, or who in our customer, like we talk about distributors, end users, architects, is the most important?
It could be either, whichever one you think is most important.
So I guess I'm going to stay with the distribution channel. And I think for us, it is our salesperson that has the interaction day to day with our customer. They have to build and establish the trust. They've got all the people that are behind them, supply chain, customer service, but they have to establish a trust. And trust is built oftentimes through being consistent, being clear. And so I think they're at, I guess at the point of the spear.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad I nailed you down on that one. That's a very interesting answer. I appreciate that. So we're going to move on. So when we think about what you're doing at USG. You said you've been, putting forth a lot of effort over the years on customer experience. This isn't new to you at USG, but what is one thing your team at USG is doing right now to improve the overall customer experience?
So I won't get into all the how we got here, but the reality is one of the things we've recognized is that there's the order experience, which means how you place an order, whether it's by the phone or by EDI or whatever. We've got to get a lot better at that to make it more just fluid so that you can change orders, you can use EDI, you can kind of order however you'd like to. And that takes some technology investments as well as process and training. So there's a big focus on investing in that process. But I also can't help but answer a second thing, and that is an investment in really having more space and allowing us to have more inventory. Our inventory turns very quickly, the industry does, but having more space will allow us, quite honestly, to get more product to people, and especially in the times that we're dealing with right now when supply chain capacity is so tight.
Okay, great, very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna keep us moving. I want to go back to thinking about this idea of defining who the customer is. I want you to think as far down to the end of the line as you possibly can. And I guess we're talking about the end user. Okay, for your purposes, we'll talk about the end user. But this is the short answer, fill in the blank portion. Okay, our industry needs to do blank better for our end customer. This is everybody working together. We all need to work together to do blank better for our end customer.
This comes back to a little bit of my comment on trust, and trust is developed over a period of time and can be ruined in a short period of time. And I would say being clear on expectations, especially in today's light with the supply chain, you have to be very clear about what's going on, because in the end, I only have so much product, you only have so much product. When we get back into a free supply, how I treated you during that time and manage expectations and was clear is going to help me hopefully separate myself from my competitors.
Yeah, we've certainly heard that a lot over these last couple of years. Any industry that we talk to, we've just got to do a better job of being transparent with people. So setting expectations, right? That makes a lot of sense. So you're going to take your work hat off for a second, and you're going to put your consumer hat on. Okay. Last question here. Who is one company or brand who has won you over, won your loyalty because of their customer experience?
So I've had a lot of experience doing some homeowner projects, doing renovations, and one company that I've always enjoyed working with is Growy, and they make all the faucets and so on and so forth. And anytime I've ever had an issue, whether it's personal or helping other people, I always get somebody on the phone, a live person. They never question me about give me all the serial numbers and this and that. If I've got an issue, tell them what product it is. They look it up and they send me a new one that's here within 2 days. They don't care about the old one. They don't need to prove that it didn't work. They look at it, it's just like they buy, they're going to buy again. And so it's just that ease of the whole process that makes me keep going back.
Steve, I love that example. I'm going to tell you why I love it so much, because it's so relevant to your industry, right? It's tangential to your industry, and it proves that customer experience, as a brand that is selling through distribution or showrooms or retailers or dealers, it still matters to have the brand play a significant role in customer experience. And I think a lot of other brands are waking up and finding out that that's true for them too. So I really appreciate that example. And Steve, thank you for the time. Really good discussion. Appreciate your perspective today. And we'll look forward to sharing this with all the viewers and all the members.
You're very welcome. And again, thanks for thinking of me, and I'm happy to be here.